All right, if you are skinny, if you simply struggle to put on muscle, then this is the ultimate guide. It's likely you're making a bunch of mistakes, which we're going to cover off.
And what we realize is it's not really about what you do. It is about the habits you form and the way you integrate it into your life.
All right, so we're going to cover off some of the major myths when it comes to making progress in the gym and gaining muscle specifically. All right, I'm here with Jared. Well, firstly, tell me, how long have you been lifting for?
Lifting since high school, so 16.
We don't know how old you are, so how long?
That is 16, 32, 16, 18 years.
And you put on how much weight?
About 10 kilos.
In that 16 years, what would you say the biggest myth is that you believed that was holding you back from putting on weight?
Definitely training to failure. New research definitely shows that you could be a few reps short for most people and still get the same results without risking that injury.
All right, I'm here with Sean, aka Townie.
Well, I actually started when I was 10.
Oh, wow. And he's 12 now.
50 kilos? And now I'm about 88.
And in that time, what would you say the biggest myth is that held you back from putting on weight?
No, not November.
As in, it doesn't work?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Makes no difference.
No
Keep
difference.
nutting.
Complete BS.
I'm here with Levi, aka Big Quads. We don't have a nickname for you.
8 years since like 18. That's more than 8 years. Let's start that again.
He can't do maths.
Wait, so if I've been lifting since 16, I'm not 28 now. So
10 years. 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
We both can't do maths.
So how much weight have you put on in that time?
20 kilos.
What has been the biggest myth that you think has held you back from putting on more weight?
Exercising more, doing more. So I've noticed that by reducing the amount of volume and increasing the amount I eat has been a lot easier to gain the weight. So sometimes less is more, and eating will definitely help.
Nice. Thanks, Levi. All right, I'm here with Andy, aka Kongi, aka King Kong, aka the nutritionist.
I started lifting when I was 17 years old, so that would be 11 years now. I started off at a very scrawny 61 kilos, and now I'm at a massive 79 kilos.
Not a scrawny 79 kilos. And what do you think was the biggest myth that held you back from putting on more weight?
Oh, when I first started training, I thought you had to eat chicken breast and chicken breast only to put on weight. I've since realized that that is not the case. You can eat many things, steak, fish, everything else.
Chicken thigh.
And that is why I'm a nutritionist.
Thanks, Andy. All right, cool. So some of the biggest myths / mistakes that are out there that we see people making. First one we see is focusing on the quality of food and not on the quantity of food. So even though my mission was to gain as much muscle as possible, I swapped out, toast and oats and milk, and I swapped it out for chicken, broccoli, brown rice. I swapped to all the bodybuilding meals, but I didn't actually increase my calories. So it was way too much focus on the quality of food and not enough on the quantity of food. Cool. So number 2 biggest mistake I made definitely in the beginning was improper technique. I just focused on lifting as heavy as possible, genuinely because you are so insecure in the gym, right? There's such a horrible feeling when you have to walk up to the bench press and you can't even put the big plates on. You got to put the little plates on the bar, right? That's an intimidating feeling, right? Especially if you're surrounded by people that have been lifting for a long time. They've got 2-3 plates on the bar. But what it does is if you can't humble yourself and start with the light weights and focus on technique, you will shoot yourself in the foot long run, because you need perfect technique to be able to lift the big weights. And that's really where a lot of the weight gain comes over the long term. And third one we see, obviously this kind of leads to, ties into technique, and that's injuries. A lot of it comes from not so much the technique, although that's a big factor, but it's actually too much too soon. Yes, more can help, but only to a certain point. And so really basically what happens after sort of 10 sets of body part is you just get injuries. Loads and loads of injuries. And that's simply not worth it, just because it slows so much of your progress.
4, and this is one of the biggest mistakes that I think everybody makes in the early days, and this is just changing programs. A huge component of gaining weight that you cannot avoid is just time, and that is unavoidable. And every time you change programs because you don't feel like it's happening fast enough, you're actually making it longer to get there. Because it's about consistency with a program that you improve on. So it doesn't get you there any faster when you keep changing programs. You just need that time to play out.
Yeah, if you're swapping your workouts, workout to workout, because you saw some guy do something on Instagram, recipe for disaster.
This one is expensive when you don't have a lot of money, and that is supplements. Obviously, supplements work. Obviously, every big guy takes supplements. But is that going to get you from small to big? Absolutely not. It will just get you from rich to poor.
Okay, so these are now like the 5 most important habits that you want to form. Habits are different because habits are things that you consistently do over a long period of time without any effort. Kicking it off, Number one, you'd be surprised, I've called it cut out the haters. I was definitely the odd one out. In fact, there were only 2 other people in my entire high school cohort that were lifting. And so I had to sacrifice a lot of social events. I had to push some friends away. I had to change up my social circles. And as a result, I gained other new friends that had more aligned goals with me. And it really helped my progress.
I would say that almost nobody gains weight by themselves.
That's true. Okay, so number 2 is always getting into the habit of eating more than you need. Now, the habit here is you need to be prepared. You need to figure out what works for you, but there needs to be organization. You cannot just wing it. You need the same breakfast every day, the same dinner.
And I think don't underestimate what a big mindset shift this is. All of a sudden you go to, oh, I eat more than I want to.
Yes.
Which people even think is weird. It's like, oh, dude, I eat more than I need.
And you also kind of eat on a schedule. Like all of a sudden, it's not when am I hungry, I'll eat. It's sort of like, okay, I have to eat every sort of 3 to 4 hours.
Regardless.
Yeah. Specifically for gaining weight. Let's just be clear. Cool. And number 3 is training compound movements at the start of every single session. I got used to starting every single session with a squat, a deadlift, a pull-up, a bench press, an overhead press, whatever it was a multi-joint movement, right? A heavy loaded multi-joint movement. You know, there's science out there and there are people out there saying you don't actually need these exercises, but we're just looking at what works in context of lots of populations, right? And doing these big lifts, we don't do them as much as we used to, but they were fundamental in the beginning for really building that foundation. Basically, if I'm doing a workout session and I'm starting with some kind of isolation exercise, it's an easy workout for today. Yeah. It's a basic ass bitch recovery workout. It's not a hard workout. So train yourself to start with the compound exercises.
So number 4, what will kill your progress in the beginning is checking the scale every day and checking the mirror every day. Early days, the progress is just too slow because we're talking months.
Yes.
And really we're talking years. And also because these things go up and down so much. Like you can go 2 weeks, make good progress, and the scale can go down.
Yeah.
Because maybe your hydration's different and you ate different the day before. So that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and that's really where like CrossFit taught me a lot about gaining weight.
And the 5th one that really just lays the foundation for all the 4 we just talked about is getting enough sleep. And the law is, hey, you need more than 7 hours of sleep.
Yes.
That's just the law that makes everything from 1 to 4 actually work. Take out this one and just forget about the 1 to 4. Sleep is when you get big. If you miss your sleep, even in a small way, you are missing out on an enormous opportunity there.
When we were training out at the hardest, at the height of our volume, we were sleeping in the day as well, right?
Yeah.
We're taking 90 minutes, 2-hour naps as well because the body needed to recover, it needed to repair. That's what happens in sleep. The body is anabolic. You release growth hormone, you build tissue, you rebuild, and you come back stronger. All right, so I know we said supplements are a waste of time, and generally they are, but there are 2 supplements that were foundational to our success. The first one was protein powder. Now, protein powder I view more as a food, right? But what it is, it's a really convenient, really handy food which can travel with you all day, doesn't need to be refrigerated, and it just adds those extra calories, those extra bits of protein. And the second one is creatine. This is obviously helps with your strength, helps with recovery, helps gain a little bit of weight as well. Creatine at this point is the most well-researched sports supplement, performance supplement on the market. So add creatine in as well. Dosages, pretty simple, 5 grams per day is usually pretty good.
So if you feel like you are still skinny and you're just not making the progress you want, identify which of the 1 to 5 you're not doing and do them. I'd say they're so foundational that you really need to be doing all 5. There's no way around the 5. They're not really arguable. You need to be doing them. So find out what you're not doing, do them, and just focus on doing them consistently. You need to think at least in months here, but really you need to think in years to see some real progress in this, and just be patient from it. Stick to the 1 to the 5 every single day, as many days in a row as you can, and that is the key to success here.
It's not stuff we've made up. It's just stuff that we've taken from the best minds on the internet and then mentors and coaches that we've learned and applied with thousands of our clients and ourselves. So if you like this video, guys, please go down below, leave us a comment, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell as well so you get notified when we put out a new video. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll speak to you all on the next video. That's a wrap.